achievement.
Well, you know, last time I was here, I told you all a little secret, and it ended up in the Miami Herald, Mr. Rawhouse, that my wife was pregnant. And so you can probably do the math and figure out that I have a son who is now 6 months old. So there are actually two events that are kind of forcing me right now to look backward and forward. One is the birth of my son, and the other is the fact that next year Quality Florida will be 15 years old. Yes. And some of you remember those early days. But before I get to that, I have the real honor of presenting the next award to somebody who, as one of his friends said, boy, he's got a mouth on him. So, depending on when you've seen Michael, perhaps you've seen him in the newspaper, in a video clip, yelling at the top of his lungs at some elected leader who's not doing the right thing, but if you're me, you've seen him running the halls in Tallahassee. You've seen him in a meeting where we're talking to someone they've got their talking points and they're not going to veer from them. And then in a moment of absolute honesty and vulnerability, Michael takes the meeting to a whole new level. He takes it to a human level. Suddenly that person can't hide behind their talking points anymore. The beauty of Michael is that he is gracious when you do the work. He's the first to praise and compliment, but he always says, what's next? And he always pushes you to the thing that is next. And I know that he's driven, whether he is yelling at the top of his lungs at a leader who needs to leave, or is that cheerleader for the person who's showing that sign of courage that needs some encouragement. Whichever mode he is in, it is always built on the passion that he feels for full equality for our community. Please join me in welcoming our next Voice for Equality Award winner, Michael Rajner. So, 2011 Voice for Equality Award to Michael Rajner for your fearless advocacy on behalf of our students, our health, and our families. By always speaking out for full equality, you have made Florida a more just place for us all.
It's dangerous. They gave me the microphone. Today it really is overwhelming. Normally, I don't get to talk like this to this many people live. Usually it's through paper, through some kind of incident that happened. But it really is humbling. I'm often asked, what do I do? What is it that I actually do? And I usually have to scratch my head and I'm quite puzzled, and I'm like, well, I guess I agitate, and maybe that's what I do best. And, as a person living with AIDS, and I should be dead, and I feel like, years ago, I, through prayer and through a lot of work, brought my health back to a point where I feel this is my deal with God to give back and do what I can to make a difference for others. And there's so many who are suffering needlessly, and we need to be that voice. As gay individuals, many of us create our own families. We struggle sometimes to find that acceptance in our own families, and we come up with these extended families to have those holidays with, to spend those special moments with, and to have those birthday parties. And mine was, no exception. It was quite painful in some of it. Unfortunately, my father couldn't be here today because the way the economy is, he really couldn't afford to take off work to come down. And the economy has hit a lot of people right now. But one of the things we still need to do is continue to fight. And as a family, a community. We are a family. And we really all are a voice of equality in this room. And we need to use that voice both on the micro and the macro level to not advocate only for one another when we see an injustice, but we also need to make certain that we're getting our butts up to Tallahassee to do the lobbying that we need to be doing. Now, a very dear friend of mine is struggling with terminal cancer and just had a severe stroke this last Wednesday. And I've been caring for their 3 horses. And I'll tell you, the last month, I have shoveled so much horse manure, I am ready for Tallahassee. One of these days, I may be going there more than an advocate, maybe I'll run one day, but that's right now. But, we really need to hold each other accountable as a community, and it's not always just each other, the forces outside. We need to make certain that we're stepping up the game when we need to. This February, it's really exciting. I go to Washington, I go to Tallahassee on a regular basis, and I actually meet with members of Congress. I've been known to say things that I really can't repeat through this microphone tonight, but it's really changed the conversation. It's changed the conversation where that person knows that they need to be listening. They need to be talking. They need to understand that issue, and they need to take the time to do something about it. And we're seeing that change. And Equality Florida, I'm very proud to have done some of that with. I've been very mad at you, Nadine, and I told Bill Browning this. Because last Christmas, Nadine she's to blame, actually, for a Christmas miracle. I was very sick, and she really called to me to help with the Betsy Gallardo situation of the young 27-year-old Haitian girl who was dying of AIDS and cancer in jail. And unfortunately, the justice system was doing a greater injustice. And I was tired and needed to just shut down, and I never told you that I was mad at you, but it was one of the most exhilarating, challenging times to stand before a Florida Parole Commission to argue that this is unjust. And then when they were deliberating, to interrupt the parole commissioners to say, no, wait a minute, you can't be making this decision yet. We didn't get this information. And it's to take those chances, and we need to step up. There's too often, to engage, we think might be intimidating. What I do is nothing special. What I do is we're all capable of doing that, and we all can do that. And I want to challenge everyone in this room to make the commitment in February to go to Tallahassee and to participate in Equality Florida's Lobby Days. And if you can't, I want to know that there's a commitment in this room that if you're not going to go, you're going to financially empower someone else who wants to go but can't afford to. It's a very important time when you put the faces of people going through an injustice in front of an elected official. It's sharing those stories, and it's making certain that you find somebody to invest in, to send to our state's capital, a capital that ignores us and has shutters, just shuts the people out. But it's you get the selected ambassador that you want to sponsor and send up there. So I want to invite you to join me when I go this February with Equality Florida up there, or send somebody up there, or come and bring someone. Because we really need to engage if we want to see the change we really believe we deserve as citizens of this country. Thank you.
Someone else who's here, former County Mayor Ken Keachel. So looking backward.